Okay, all gentlemen, actually. We haven't managed to get a balanced panel. It's all gentlemen. All right, let's start off. The question we've been asked is whether, on the future of entertainment, is will LATAM become the center? So it's the one center of global culture, so the leading center. So we had a little chat in the green room, and one of the questions we talked about was definitional. LATAM. Nizan, is there such a thing as LATAM, and if so, what does it consist of?
Well, that's a very good question, because one thing that I don't think Latin America is going to be the leading hub, but Latin American for sure be one of the leading hubs of creativity, as we are in advertising, for example, right?
Speak for yourself, Nizan.
Oh no, you spend so many time in Brazil that you are already a Brazilian, but I think that the first thing to make Latin America a hub is to have and see value in being Latin America. And Brazil, for example, is very much guilty of that. I don't think we have the necessary love and understanding and pride of this continent, and I think we should.
Okay, Pierre, is there such a thing as Latin America? If so, is it Brazil and the rest, or what?
Well, the common denominator is the Christian root, the Catholicism. But besides this, you look at Argentina and Brazil, besides soccer, when they are really fighting, you do not talk to an Argentinian the way you talk to a Brazilian or a Mexican. So for me to have LATAM as a whole, I think they're losing the idea of diversity. You know, maybe they should be different. Look at Europe. Is Germany the same as Italy? Obviously not. But yet they can still coexist. So it is possible. But do not make it too small that nobody can breathe.
Yeah. Vic?
Well, I think when we talk about the center of anything, it's a generational thing. You know, I think my kids, we're addicted to the idea of like these conglomerates, the idea of one man show of success. And this is no longer the rule. I think, you know, the whole idea of entertainment has been atomized. You know, there are kids monetizing TikTok videos in Rwanda right now or in Tibet. It doesn't really matter, but I think that is good for Latin America, because it gives people a chance to actually express themselves within their own culture, independent of where they are. Some of the most successful TikTokers and people, they come from Piauí, from areas that there's no even like telephone coverage. I don't know how they do it, but this is, I think, what's happening right now. The atomization, you know, of information favors places like with a strong and proud cultural identity like Latin America.
Okay. And Fernando?
I think that it's a great opportunity now for creativity in Latin American countries in the age of the sequels, because I'm a film producer and a content producer, and you have all these Marvel things and superheroes that people cannot relate that much. So here, in Argentina and whatever, like you don't have a superhero coming from the favela, or you know, like, so they're creating amazing local content, and this local content flies and goes everywhere. It happens the same in Korea, that you know you have the Squid Game or things like this. So it's a great potential, and it's a great moment for Latin American content in general. It could be Brazilian, it could be Argentinian, it could be even Bolivian, you know. But
it also reminds me, I remember calling Roberto Chavita when he was still alive, may he rest in peace, Editor Abril, and he was in Sao Paulo, and I said, how's Latin America? And he said, what are you saying? He said, I'm in Sao Paulo, I'm in Brazil, that's not Latin America. But enough of that. So first question, or first sub-question, is what's the biggest misconception that we've encountered in bringing Latin American art, culture, and luxury to a global audience? Fernando?
I think it's doing it by itself. People, they watch this content on these new formats, in this new platform, in Netflix, they really transculturate. They go to the US, they go to Europe. I mean, it happened before with the telenovelas, that you have, Brazilian telenovelas all over. So I think that the moment is happening. Obviously, you need more emphasis on this and more markets and more situations, but it's quite strong. It's quite strong and it's quite bullish.
Okay.
I think that the misconception is that the fact that if you're Latin American, if you're African, or if you're from a specific context, you have to make art that reflects the content of that culture. It's if you make anything in Latin America, will have its Latin American flavor. Obviously, it's easier to do stuff that is different from other cultures, but recently I've just watched one first episode of a science fiction things about cyborgs shot in Latin America, shot in Brazil. And I thought it was really cool because it could not be made elsewhere. There was like a lot of sci-fi films done in Australia, and they were Australian. No matter what you do, you're going to have that accent, you're going to have the attitude. And I think the subtleties of picking on a culture filtered through maybe a subject that is not particularly part of that culture are far more interesting than having something that is always descriptive, illustration of a culture.
Would that be something that you understood because you're from Latin America or Brazil? And if I was watching it, I wouldn't necessarily pick up on that it was different?
I think you wouldn't identify it, but you will feel it. I think this is important. I think I would pick it up both ways because I think my identity as a spectator is that of an immigrant, and I lived most of my life in New York. And I kind of I feel it and I enjoy it from my perspective. But I really like when you have the freedom to do whatever you want, but you always helplessly going to be Latin American or Brazilian or Bolivian when you do it,
So Nizan was bursting to say something. Go ahead, Nizan.
Well, I agree partially with that, because if you see Borges, if you see Gabo, if you see Sebastião Salgado, they are both local and global on that. But, for example, Brazil has some other sort of creativity. For example, as an agriculture country, we are amazing, but we are incapable of merging from commodity to aggregated value. And I think that thing is very similar, with all due respect, with the most unbelievable things that Brazil does. For example, design. Charlotte Perriand, which is an artist that I love, she came to live in Rio. Mario Testino came from here, right? So there's you are an unbelievable source of creativity.
It's warm here.
But we need to have an economical mindset, and the government, the right hates art, and the left thinks it's charity, and it's a business. Entertainment must be taken seriously. Soccer. So there has to be, to change this mindset, or it is despicable, these horrible people from the left, and that's how the right sees it, and the other is charity, 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 when it's an industry. So I think that, Martin, why did we play equal? Can you imagine being his competitor? It's a struggle for survival.
On whose part, me or you?
No, you nearly killed me. Okay?
Unsuccessfully.
No, that's not true. And, you need to be competitive globally, Vicky. You are a living proof of that, But we need to take seriously. For example, if we had a mayor like Eduardo Paes in all the Brazilian capital, this thing could be a better reality. And when you go it's true. He's a fabulous mayor. So this is
Pierre,
my vision.
Pierre, misconception.
I think it's demand and supply. If we talk about art, we're talking about luxury. Usually, all countries are going to go to Europe, France, Italy, you name it. So now Brazil or LATAM have to work on the supply. And to quote you, you said art is a way to communicate or to connect with the world. That's a storytelling. That's the difference between looking at the picture and looking at what it means. So on the meaning, this is when I do my banana. Is that a good idea?
Fine.
Okay.
Bring out the
I
banana.
brought from the United States a banana. Oops, sorry. It's in the pocket. Okay. With duct tape. So I don't have a whiteboard. I was supposed to have a whiteboard, but I don't have a whiteboard. So you have a banana like this with duct tape taped to a wall. This banana is 27 cents at Walmart, and figure that this is half a cent. I figure like 27.5 cents. How do you go from this to $120,000? The answer is Moreso Catalan, an artist, an amazing artist. So the difference is this is at 27 cents something that is a commodity, I need to eat it. The other one is bringing content, bringing communication to the world, bringing a history, bringing imaginary. If you do not appeal to the imaginary, you're dead. Because otherwise, what do you need it? You just eat the banana, and actually an artist ate the banana at the Basel Fair in Miami, and he created more. By the way, they sold 3 bananas for $120,000. So not just one, 3 of them. So the idea is content. And how do you tell the story? Through technology, and I think you're going to know more about this than me, about what Brazil can bring to this. But I think that's why we have to start the conversation.
Okay, so I've got a whole shed load of questions, and when you have a panel like this,
You can eat it.
time is running out. But so I'll skip one or two and just come to, what's your vision, what is our vision for the future of creativity and innovation in Latin America, and what role will technology play? Nizan, go on.
Well, we are a very strong hub of technology. Mercado Livre is amazing. It's probably one of the largest companies in the world. Nubank, iFood.
Globant. Globant.
Yes, Brex, Stone. So there's in many, many areas. So I think this is a field where we can play and match together arts, literature, film, and technology. And I think we are going to be a very, very big player on that. We already are.
Fernando, film.
I think that creativity is here and the need to express is here. And storytelling and stories are here, are outstanding. And the need for identifying with stories, even like with the World Cup or with soccer or with things like, it's here. And people are looking for more for local models, not anymore for like American models or like European models. So I'm quite bullish in the content producing here in Latin America. I think that it's exporting a lot. I think that directors from here are going, massive. Like a worldwide show, Narcos, was built from Brazilian talent. Like the guy who played Escobar is a Brazilian.
So will AI aid that process or destroy it?
Listen, there is always room for amazing storytelling, and I'm sure it's going to develop, like with social media or with the internet or whatever, another kind of, probably AI will make great, but human intelligence, like he said, is still going to be there.
But have you tried to sell bananas to the the European community? Who is making the money at the end of creativity? So I understand because you're Argentina and you live in London. But so probably you have a deep understanding with that. But I live in this country, okay? So it's not so easy. You can be creative, but maybe you're going to sell it at the end of a game as a commodity. And that doesn't fuel creativity. So we are competing in different mindsets.
Fernando,
free economy is not exactly free around the world.
He wants to come back at you.
But with all of this, with all the respect, I think that South Americans, and I include myself, we have a complex that everything here is horrible and outside is better. It's not true when you need to finance a film, even with a big director outside. It's horrible. You're going to have the same hurdles, that you have elsewhere, including here. So, people don't want to
Martin,
give money
am I
for
like
culture.
that?
What?
Do you think I'm modest? I'm not proud.
That's not one of your qualities.
Yeah,
I don't
no,
think.
so neither yours. So I think that's not the matter at all. I think it's wonderful. I think I was very enthusiastic. Thank you very much, Richard, for coming, because it's amazing what an event like this can make to put us in the world. You can ask Alex Allah, how we received him very much. So what I'm saying is, there's a political size, an economical size for us to play this business global.
Sorry, come at you.
There are a number of things that are being said here that are quite interesting. I mean, one thing is, again, AI. I think AI is going to smooth out all the edges of regional characteristics. Like that, what I was saying, that you could film Brazil anywhere, you could do anything anywhere. I think that the geographic, that what we're talking about, centers, these things are going to disappear in a very near future. And what's more interesting is how this sort of nihilistic environment is going to affect creativity in places. Definitely, the idea of centralized hubs of creativity also are going to be affected, and it's going to benefit regionally people who are outside the canon. You can sell a banana for $100,000, but this banana has to be, see, here is not $100,000. This banana has to be on the wall of an art fair, and a good art fair. It was at Miami Basel. I was there when I didn't buy the banana, didn't have the money for it, but it was quite an interesting thing. But if that banana was in another wall, somewhere in a wall outside here in Copacabana, people probably eat it. They would not understand it as a work of art. One thing is interesting, is that it's a moment that is really important for experimentation. I did in Salvador, in Bahia, where Nizan was born, I made a gallery, but not inside a food market, one of the largest food markets in Brazil. It's called Feira de São Joaquim. In this fair, they sell fish, they sell meat, they sell sausage, spices, all kinds of things. And I made a beautiful little gallery, like Prada, Balenciaga, a white cube with all the qualities of Gagosian or any of these art fair booths that you see. And I've been featuring like world-class artists there. Le Parc, Ernesto Neto, international artists, museum quality art. And it is interesting that when you start messing around with the idea of center, at this gallery, I thought first that the people are going to find that strange. The people from the fair, they love it. They understand it, they comment, they participate in something that is so elitist as contemporary art as anybody else would do. And the artists will show there. They feel privileged to actually be able to show to a different audience, I think these sort of displacements or experiments in displacing cultural production are very important. And I think they are going to redefine the production grounds where culture is going to be made in a very near future.
Pierre.
Just to rebound on this, you're right. Content is important. Context is also very important.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's called product image distribution. If your product and image is great, but distribution is not good, it's a bad fair, you will not succeed. But there's something that, of course, looking at it with French eyes, but coming from America, it has already started, especially in Brazil, and I'm glad you mentioned Alex Allah, who's present here. What Alex is trying to do, what I gathered from his speeches, is bring luxury into Brazil. Why would it be French, Italian, whatever? And Alex did the effort to bring guild workers to work the wood, and you have an amazing wood here, and marble, and be able to produce in-house, in the country. That is the way, hopefully, to promote it. Alex is French at the base. Doesn't matter. You can get some help from outside and then create it from within. And I think that's the direction that you have. You have an amazing country, as big as the United States. You have a great population. You have an amazing, beautiful, from the Amazon to the coast. You see a lot more luxury homes that are being sold to the Americans to come here for a weekend or whatever. So it's happening.
Yeah. So next week, we have the Cannes Advertising Festival. And it's become more of a tech festival than, or more a tech festival than an advertising festival in many respects. But there again, you will see Latin American creative and technological capabilities demonstrated at very significant scale. I mean, it's one of the industries where I think Latin America has really sort of flowered, but is still not accorded the respect that it's due. I don't think people really understand in our industry how powerful the creative community, how good it is in Latin America, and how the technological community is too. So we've got a little time, I think, for a couple of more questions, and moving to the trajectory of the LATAM economy. Just one question on globalization. How has globalization impacted the development of local industries and the cultural identity within the region? Do you see that as being a negative or a positive, Nizan?
I think both. There's both sides, because it's very hard to aggregate a value of a banana if you are in republics of banana.
I didn't say that.
Huh?
I did not say that.
No, but I
It comes
did.
from you, yes, absolutely.
No.
I did not say that.
No, but you know, Martin, so for example, let's give a good example. I think that Santos Dumont created the airplane, but the Wright brothers did the storytelling. So you have not only to have great art, great creativity, but for example, in football, all our great artists, they play in Spain because there's more support, there's more budget, okay? So there's a lot of, let's say, the Brazilian creative guys, they emerge, they are spread around the world because they don't have the right environment here.
Right.
Well, the
Pierre.
same for France. Most of the good French players play in Barça and in Real Madrid. They're not
Or
in
in the
France anymore.
Premier League in the UK.
Yeah. Mbappe just signed with the Real. So it's not just Brazil. It's because the Spanish Liga is very important. But take another example, Ayrton Senna, one of the idols of everyone. He's a global. He was a global person, but he's still relevant. And that was not, in
Yeah,
Brazil
but
per
you're
se.
comparing countries that are, in some sense, at the same level, right? But here there's an imbalance that was created by us. I mean, I'm not pointing fingers to anybody. For example, this event, for example, we have to take it seriously. We have to invest in it. We have to pay attention and foster. Because there's a quote about Brazil that says, Brazil never loses an opportunity to lose an opportunity. And this must be changed. We have to take care and realize our opportunities.
So, Vic, globalization affected you?
Yeah, affected me, yeah. I had to move to the United States to start my career as an artist in New York. And seriously, if it wasn't for the context of the New York art world, I wouldn't be here talking to you today. There was a time that you needed to do that geographical displacement. What I think we are even beyond the idea of globalization now, is we're talking about technology that will enable people to execute large productions in small studios. You talk about music recording now, all you need is an iPhone. Film. That I realized that the whole film Batman movie, the last one, was filmed inside an LED dome. So you could build that LED dome anywhere in the world. Those things can travel. They can. I think that the future looks. It's interesting to see how it will affect the ingenuity that we're so good at. I mean. I'm thinking like places like Brazil or India, for instance. There was a film that I loved in India. Is a guy who's trying to hang a picture of his beloved wife on a wall, and he doesn't have a hammer. So he tries his shoe, he tries his hand, and then he put the nail on the wall with the picture. Like, if you was in the U.S., you need to call the union to actually put a drill there to do that. In places like Brazil, India, Mexico, people just do stuff. And they do it with whatever they have. And I'm curious to know to understand how technology will affect that, the quality that we have already, you know.
And Fernando, how has the film industry been affected by globalization?
I think that there is a, like platforms, they buy local content, mostly. Like, if you go to Brazil, they want to buy Brazilian things, and they need to produce Brazil, because that's what they consume. If you go to Argentina, they buy Argentinian content. So they're developing a lot more, and of local content that they travel abroad. So, and this, look at us. We have an artist called Richard Ideias who created this Saudi-hosted summit in Brazil. So cultures travel, and they get together, and we generate things. We don't know what. We don't know what's the future with this new technology. Let's welcome it, and let's embrace it, and we don't know where we're going to go.
But the streamers, the interesting thing about the streamers, Netflix, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus,
Yes.
Univision, is that the local content
Yes.
is always the content that does better. It's the global content that gets the noise, but it's the local content that really...
It's divided between what the studios does, what the streamers does, and
Yeah.
also the studios, they do a lot of local contents because that's what it sells now, and serial killers that they sell all the time.
Okay, one final question very quickly. Can LATAM maintain its unique cultural identity as it becomes more and more integrated into the global cultural market, or will it lose its distinctive voice? Fernando.
It's impossible not to, because we're to ourselves. You have to say he's Brazilian, I'm Argentinian, you guys are Brazilian, so we are who we are. So it's impossible. We can get a little mannerism, you understand, but we have a very strong identity.
There's a sci-fi film by Paul Verhoeven that is the future. Everybody will speak English and look alike. I think it's a possibility, but it will take a long time for us to, get rid of our way of thinking and way of doing things.
Okay. Pierre.
The globalization, which sometimes is used as a bad word, globalization is good when it gives a chance from somebody, let's say from a favela, to become a YouTuber, a TikToker, and be famous. The danger is uniformity. Globality could be good, uniformity is not good, because then you lose all your culture, all the things that made you who you are, your language. Look, we all speak English here, somehow for me, but this is uniformity. That's the danger that we have to avoid, not just Brazil, the world around.
And the last word for Nizan.
Well, I think that if you lose what you are, you're dead, okay? And one of our powers is that the creativity of Latin America. All the guys that made it in the global stage, Gabo, Borges, Neruda, they sang his town, and then they talked to the world. So we shouldn't lose that anyway. Where we are losing is in the business side, in the business mindset, to foster, this creativity of us, that we are very strong.
All right, well, thank you, four kings of films, of art, of watches, and last but not least, of advertising. Thank you very much.